we're not going to get the regulation of social media that we all want. So what can work? You know, Jamie, I was working with a small startup about a year ago who was trying to, through technology, essentially hack the TikTok algorithm, right? Because we had done some polling when I was at NBC, and it was striking. Views on Israel were 20 points more negative among TikTok users, 18 to 30, than non-TikTok users, right? It was a clear dividing line. This was like a big gap when you see 20 points like that. And so this startup, I mean, God bless this woman. She had, and they tried and they couldn't get it amplified. They couldn't get pro-Jewish content amplified or even reactions amplified. It was clearly, and they couldn't, you know, there was almost like a brick wall. You know, it is interesting to me, Rick, that we have a hard time, Jews have a hard time being seen as a protected minority the way other, whether it's religious groups or ethnic groups, sort of get the same empathy or benefit of the doubt. And, you know, I've always like, is it because we're too small? Is there too few of us around the globe? I mean, there's not many of us. You know, in the 1920s and 30s, Rick, we had a lot of misinformation in advertising, magazine advertising, right? And two things happened. One, Consumer Reports was born, and they do a terrific job. They bought all those products, and what they do today is great. I actually one time went to the head of Consumer Reports and said, hey, why don't you get into the information business? And they said, oh, no, we're not doing that. But the FTC, right, is, you know, we do regulate if you lie in advertising. Do we actually have the entity that should be doing this with algorithms? Is it I mean, you know, you're as much of an expert on this as I am on that front, but one could argue we have a government regulatory body on this, sort of.
Yeah, those definitional questions are things that people who understand this better than I need to wrestle with. I mean, I do think, you know, one piece which has come out of Australia that Jonathan Haidt has been championing, obviously, is when we're dealing with minors.
Oh, grab the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Rick,
sorry. My apologies. You know, one piece that's come out of Australia that Jonathan Haidt has been championing very effectively, and Gene Twenge, is, look, when we're dealing with minors, it's a very different conversation. And the idea of parental consent, of age verification, of all of these things are gathering, I think, extraordinary momentum for a reason. And these absolutely ought to be on the policymaking agenda.